U.S. Secretary of State is getting ready for his first meeting with senior officials from China. But the Chinese say they don't expect a sudden thaw in relations. China's ambassador to the U.S. said Beijing does not have high expectations about the meetings with Antony Blinken in Alaska. And those talks are set to start soon and go through until Friday. And of course, they come just hours after a trip to meet with South Korea's President Moon Jae-in. Blinken says China has an important role to play in keeping the Korean peninsula safe.
China has a unique relationship with North Korea. Virtually all of North Korea's economic relationships, its trade, are with or go through China, so it has tremendous influence. And I think it has a shared interest in making sure that we do something about North Korea's nuclear program and about the increasingly dangerous ballistic missile program.
Well, I want to bring in former presidential advisor and CNN senior political analyst David Gergen. Good to see you, David.
Thank you, Lynda. Good to see you.
So, the U.S. Secretary of State set to meet with China's foreign policy chief today. And of course, there are a lot of disagreements to discuss, from trade, human rights, regional security. What can be achieved? Because it sounds to me like expectations are low on both sides.
They are indeed. The relationship between the U.S. and China have in many ways reached the lowest point since 1949, when the communists took over. And they're similar to what you just heard about U.S. relationship with Russia. There are a lot of people who think the U.S. relationship with China are actually going to get worse in the near term. We'll have to see. I think both nations, both China and the U.S., are heading for Alaska to have a talk, which is really about a reset in the relations. Both sides. The U.S. is extremely disappointed in the behavior of China over the last few years with regard to technology, to military affairs, to human rights, to Hong Kong, to Taiwan. There are a list of grievances the U.S. has. There are a list of grievances on the Chinese side that they're going to want to thrash through. So this is going to be a tense meeting, probably for the most part. They'll issue something that's a little namby-pamby at the end of it, but everybody knows underneath all this, there's some serious business is being done. Notably, Lynda, the United States first, before sitting down with China, the United States first sent Blinken into Tokyo to talk with the Japanese, talk to the South Koreans, and through the Quad process, President Biden has been having conversations with Australia and India. And in fact, the United States has been lining up its friends, its allies, before talking to China.
Just because you've mentioned the Quad, I want to ask about that strategic alliance against China, that being US, Japan, Australia, and India.
Right.
How much of that is about trade?
Is about what? I'm sorry?
About trade. How much is that alliance focused on trade?
Okay, well, you were a little garbled there, I'm afraid, but the alliances on the alliances on both sides are frayed, both with the Russians and America and with America and China. But it's not to say they can't be reset. It is to say that it's difficult. I think the one issue that's lurking in the background, Lynda, we just came off a sharp exchange between President Biden and the Russians and Putin, right? And now we've got some exchanges building up that could be pretty tough with China. There is a danger if in this situation that you drive, if you go too far with it, if America gets too angry, you drive the Russians and the Chinese into each other's arms. And that would not be helpful for U.S. diplomacy or for stability in the world.
And looking at what took place over the last year, how much did the U.S. relationship with China disintegrate further as a result of President Trump directly blaming China for the coronavirus?
Oh, I think there's no question that the Chinese took very ill the Trump years, what Trump had to say. You know, even as Trump had developed the relationship with the Russians, and they almost seemed to be protecting him from himself, the relationship with the Chinese definitely got harder edged. And I think that's where we are today, that there is this hard edge, and no one quite knows how this is all going to come out. I think what Blinken is looking for is to move from this deteriorating situation, which I think if Trump had been in office reelected, would have gotten quite bad in the next few months, next couple of years. But I think Blinken has a chance to reset, if it's done carefully, done wisely, and with the support of a lot of allies, the Chinese will feel maybe they've got to clean up their act and can't do some things and be less aggressive. And hopefully that same thing will happen with the Russians. But at this point, I don't think we know whether these relationships are going to continue to deteriorate or whether they may show some stabilization.
Yeah, certainly in need of a reset with regards to that relationship. David Gergen, as always, good to have you on. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you, Lynda.